Hey guys, it's Bonnie from Dwelling Logs. Today I want to take you through a video about homeschool lingo. Now, when I was young, I was homeschooled, kindergarten right to grade 12. And so I entered this age of motherhood and wanting to homeschool my own kids, thinking that I knew everything and it was going to be easy and I knew it was out there. And I discovered that I don't. So this video is going to be all about things that I learned, specifically philosophies and the popular alternative ones that are out there. Let's start off with talking about philosophies. I was homeschooled traditionally. I had a Becca books most of my school life at home. My mom did a very average, normal homeschooling style for the 90s. And that meant books at the table, seat work, and tests. And it's the same style as if you were bringing, a school into your home and doing a version of that just at home. And now that is still a thing, but there are so many more alternative philosophies that are popular. It used to be that the alternative ways just were strange or weird or very out there. You had to be a little bit of a hippie to be like that. And I find that you don't have to be a hippie anymore to have alternative homeschooling philosophies as a homeschooling mom. And if you're hippie, that's great too. Embrace it. You're probably an unschooler. So let's talk about, I have a few notes because I don't know it all. I am learning, and so I need some notes, and probably after this video I'm going to learn more. I did a podcast on this. If you go to my website, dwellinglogs.wixsite.com/dwellinglogs/podcast, and you'll find my homeschooling lingo podcast. And I had to record that like 3 times because I kept learning more. So I'm doing this right now as what I know right now. If you are an expert at one of these philosophies and you have more to say about it, comment below. This is going to be a general overview of what I've learned and what I know so far. So the first philosophy I'm going to talk about just branches away from traditional a little bit. It's called the Moore philosophy. And Dr. Mr. and Mrs. Raymond Moore, they were homeschooling parents. They focused on study and manual work, community service, and their philosophy broadens a classical style into and beyond textbooks. They were about maybe traditional sort of schooling, but going beyond that and taking their purposeful teaching with their kids outside of that as well. And they did not focus on tests. That was a big difference between them and traditional schoolers, where they did not focus on test scores. And that was kind of new, back then. Classical. Okay, so oftentimes when you think about classical homeschooling, you're going to think traditional, because traditional schooling is a classic way to homeschool. But when people are talking about classical homeschooling, they're actually talking about something different. These homeschoolers have a lot of reading going on. They're often lumped with traditional. However, if you hear about classical homeschooling, it's talking about a philosophy that is specific to breaking up their schooling into 3 stages. So there's the grammar stage, which is facts and memorization, the logic stage, which is more reasoning, and the last one is rhetoric stage, which is skills and judgment. And they break up these stages for 3 different age categories. So when your kids are little, when they're in their middle years, and when they're in high school. So that is just an overview. They blend a little bit with Charlotte Mason, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, because they both use a lot of literature in their teaching, specifically classic literature, classic books. So they definitely use that. So let's talk now about Charlotte Mason. And Charlotte Mason is I'm a little biased. I really like Charlotte Mason schooling because it does a lot of nature, a lot of outdoors, a lot of painting. So Charlotte Mason, she taught in the turn of the 20th century. She was a real lady. It encourages a very broad range of curriculum and books. So it focuses on art, reading, and outdoors. And it lends itself for kids to start learning through exploration and regurgitation instead of memorization and drilling. I would say that classical is really trying to get kids to think for themselves, and Charlotte Mason does that as well, but definitely emphasizes interaction with your kids. Charlotte Mason homeschoolers can't just get a curriculum and hand it over and say, see you later. I would say, at least not when they're younger, because it really emphasizes hands-on and creativity. And I think parents need to be involved in showing their kids how to get outside safely and explore things and pointing out different things, and even learning to paint and things like that. The cool thing about Charlotte Mason is that so many people are painting. When you follow these homeschooling families, these guys are like, you don't have to be professional, but you're painting to learn. They're painting nature studies and things like that. That's something that I'm really looking at doing in the fall. So let's try to keep this a little bit unbiased and go on to Montessori. So Maria Montessori was also a real person, and this strategy has been used for over 100 years. It focuses on human development, physical, social, emotional, and cognitive. It's like thinking. It promotes creating an environment for children, it promotes creating a child-led environment, and it's very hands-on. So it's meant to set up a space of learning that your child will go in and start directing. So it's not so much mom and dad saying, look at all the things we bought. We're going to look at this today and we're going to learn about this today. It's about having things that are hands-on in your home, manipulatives and things like that, where the child will go and explore, and then you can see what your child is getting into and feed on that and grow from there. Waldorf homeschooling, also called Steiner, it's very similar to Montessori. It's like these two go hand in hand. It's hard to differentiate when you're looking at things that you're purchasing for your home, or different people that are talking about Waldorf or Montessori homeschooling. You're going to see a lot of similarities, except Waldorf it's a holistic approach with art and practical skills in there too, but it encourages, in comparing to Montessori, it encourages much more for imagination and make-believe. So there's an element of that just goes a little step further than Montessori does. Orton Gillingham is another one. It's a little less popular. Orton Gillingham is a philosophy or an approach for homeschooling that really is an alternative for kids who don't do well with textbooks, as in maybe dyslexia, or they have some kind of hard time. They're just maybe not visual learners. Maybe they're more auditory. So it really focuses on grammar and learning, but more like oral teaching than on the books. And Orton Gillingham, it's old school. I think he's from the 30s or something like that. And he definitely tried to make a way of learning for people who had trouble learning from books, because we don't all learn from books like each other. We're all different in that way. So Orton Gillingham is an alternative that way. The other one, the last one on my list, we're just going to go over the popular ones here, is unschooling. Now, unschooling is the last on my list because it's the most alternative. It's the most, like, traditional's way over there. Unschooling's way over there. Like, throw out your schedule, throw out your curriculum. It's all about child-led learning. I think you need to be such a creative parent to do unschooling, because you just got to be ready for your kid to dive into something, and you're going to take that and say, okay, let's go learn. So unschooling is so cool. A lot of unschoolers also, they really believe in learning through life experiences. There's learning every day. Let's face it, we don't need a curriculum to learn what we need to learn. But some parents like a curriculum just to make sure that they're hitting goals. Unschooling, you're not going to be having those goals. Definitely, there's an emphasis on life experience and curiosity when you unschool. So that's what I have for philosophies. The other thing, I have a few more terms that I just want to go over for people who are new to homeschooling or old to homeschooling like me, who are coming into this new world and like, what do these mean? There's a few things. So you're going to hear about kinesthetic or tactile, especially if you're doing Montessori or Waldorf. So things that you do with your hands, learning through physical activity, using sensory activities and visual aids with moving parts rather than simply oral teaching or visual text. So that is what kinesthetic or tactile is. Those are like the things that you'll see, like little blocks that kids are learning with math, for math and things like that. That's all kinesthetic. The other thing you'll come across is STEM, sometimes STEM curriculum, sometimes STEM things that you buy to create or whatnot. That stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So the last one I want to get to is living books. Now, living books, it's something I mentioned before with classical and Charlotte Mason homeschoolers mostly. They are types of books that are usually narratives or story form. Instead of textbooks, these are books that are meant to come alive. Maybe a small example of that for myself would be I did Abeka Sciences up until my last year of physics in high school. And Abeka is very much traditional textbook style, but my mom switched to a book by J. Wiley, and he just writes like he speaks. And so for me, that was a little bit more of a living book because it's a science where this guy is talking to me. It's not just information and facts. He's actually a little bit expressive, and it was actually a big game changer for myself. Even though it was still very heavy learning, it was narrative rather than regular textbook style. The other thing, my first podcast episode was on game schooling. If you hear about game schooling, it's just learning through games. Some people do it a lot, some people do it a little bit. We do it once in a while, and boy, like, you can learn so much. So you can do it on the side. Some people do game schooling full time, seriously. The other thing you might hear is cyber school. More people talk about online schooling. When I was younger, like in the 90s, my friends that I knew that did homeschooling on the computer, we called it cyber school. So cyber school, online schooling, same thing, just doing your work on the computer. Some curriculum will have textbook and computer. Some you can do everything on the computer. So I have two more things on my list. One is unit study, and unit study is something where you take a topic and you learn all around it. And that's not just taking a topic like an animal and learning all the different things about that animal. It's taking something and doing your math and your spelling and your language and your science and your history all around that. So your whole schooling, all of your subjects around a topic. Now, a lot of unit study schoolers will do something for the whole year. I remember for myself in grade 4, my mom did Little House on the Prairie for grade 4. And boy, by February, I was so sick of Laura Ingalls Wilder. But you don't have to do it all year. Some unit study schoolers, they do it, a term thing or a monthly thing. In our house, we don't do all of our subjects around one thing, but we do usually pick a different theme each month. So anyways, you can do it kind of how you want. It's kind of flexible, but there are unit study curriculums out there where you might follow what they do. Sometimes it's an annual thing, sometimes it's semi-annual. So that is unit study. And the last thing on my list is eclectic. I call myself an eclectic homeschooler, and that just means we have bits and pieces from everywhere. I love all kinds of different pieces from different philosophies. I love all kinds of different curriculums. I like to try things. I'm hoping as my kids get bigger that I will try different things, and I will learn how each child does things and learns themselves so that I can just tailor make my school for them. So eclectic is just, we use that word in English outside of just talking about homeschooling, but an eclectic homeschooler will usually be someone who's pulling from different places. So my goal with thinking about all of this is also to try to break down some curriculum. So one thing that was very stressful for me when I was very first starting up and starting to discover these new alternative philosophies, maybe not new, but more popularized philosophies, I wanted to know what curriculums align with which philosophies if you're doing curriculum. And that was very hard to search out. You can, if you're Charlotte Mason, you can go and find Charlotte Mason curriculum. And if you're Waldorf, you can go and find Waldorf curriculum. But if you want an overview of like, oh, here's a curriculum, there's a really good review on it, what philosophy is it? It was a little bit hard to dig for that. You had to go into each individual one. So my goal is, after this video, I'm going to post it, and then keep an eye out. I'm going to post on my blog, Homeschooling Lingo, and I will attach to that another blog that is all about what curriculum goes with which philosophy. And I'm hoping to keep that updated and edit it so that as I learn about new curriculum that people like and it is good for people, I want to put it on there, and I want to break it up into all the philosophy categories. And so if you know what philosophy you are, you can go there and you can see what curriculums fall in line with how you want to teach. And maybe you're a cross like me, maybe you're eclectic, maybe you're a little bit traditional and you want to be a little bit Montessori or whatnot. You can go in there and you can see what curriculums follow through there. So that will be coming up. So stay tuned. Definitely, please subscribe to this channel if you like what you see, if you want to know more. I want to just share everything that I am learning and everything that I'm researching, because I don't want to keep it all for myself. I put in a lot of effort for our home and I want to share it because I've done the work already. So this is just a general overview of philosophies and some homeschooling terms that you might encounter when you're first starting out. And I hope it was helpful for somebody. I wish I would have had this video 2 years ago when I was starting out with my own kids. So comment below, subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook. Go check out my website, check out my podcast, and let's follow along this journey together. If you are a homeschool blogger or a podcaster and your focus is on homeschooling, I want to meet you. I want to know who you are. Comment, send me a private message with your information. I know some comments, you can't actually comment always with your own websites, or else like the websites will think you're spam or something. So you can try it, but, but I don't want you to get flagged or anything like that. But I'd like to know who you are, because I love following other homeschooling mamas. I love it. It's so much fun. And have a great homeschooling week. And I hope that this is really great to just springboard off of if you're new to all this. Have a great day. This is Bonnie signing off from Dwelling Logs.